Alright, working on the WJ again today. And today we're going to be working on something I've been wanting to get on here for a while. I finally got the parts together and I'm going to be putting my lift on. I got a rough country long arm kit, some springs from Clayton, Iron Rock Truss for the rear axle, Bilstein shocks, all kinds of goodies. We're going to throw that on the WJ and make this thing a little more capable. So it should be fun. So the first thing we're going to do here is get the rear axle out so that we can get the Iron Rock truss put on there. I think it needs to go your way because of the exhaust. Okay. So I don't know, can we pull your side backwards?
Slide the jack?
Yeah.
Backwards or towards me?
Towards the rear of the vehicle. So because you're gonna need to go rearward to get that upper control arm clear. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
So get there up rearward, and then you should be able to pull it, like rotate it kind of rear into your side, like that. Now, can we slide it in your direction at all? Okay, ready? Yeah, we're gonna have to take, the jack is in the way. There we go.
Well, that's in the way.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to get the jack out of there and basically just slide it on the ground because there's not enough clearance. Maybe there is if we come to the side, but because we still need to go your way because I'm resting on the exhaust.
Yeah.
Are you able to get the jack out if I lift it up slightly? Just yank it out. What? Just pull it out. Yeah, we're on the exhaust, but can you pull it your way?
Yeah.
There we go. Watch your fingers. And we should be able to slide it out my way, right? Alright, I think we can just slide it this way. Yeah. Yeah, it's not even hitting too much. Alright. What's this still attached? Just an ABS. Okay. Just needs to be fished out. Oh, you're hitting.
The old man weighed moving a half-ton rear axle. Smart way would be the hoist of some sort.
Yeah, well, we're not smart.
Don't ever accuse me of being smart. Just gonna open the...
Yeah.
Hold on, let me shut this. Just in case.
Yeah, so we gotta figure out
Is
how
that
this thing
pivot?
comes off. Yeah, this whole thing, see, it's on like a ball.
I mean, does it turn like this?
Alright, so got the axle out. Got it mostly prepped for welding. I got this truss kind of put together here. I got to tack weld it next. But this is interesting. Check this out. The old AR. These mounts, look at that. Those were totally shot. So I had a feeling, because every so often I'd hear like clunks little clunk from the back end. That thing is toast. Alright, so there's a few different ways you can do this Iron Rock truss. Because of the Dana 44A has an aluminum center section, Iron Rock makes the truss to work in a number of different ways. The normal, the A-arm, if you want to call it that top third link, connects to the top of the aluminum differential with 3 bolts. And so the Iron Rock truss is made to work with or without those. Like if those have been broken off, you can weld these nuts on the bottom and just use it to the truss. Or if those are still there, you just bolt right through it into those. And then the third way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the control arm mount that comes with the Rough Country kit, and I'm going to weld that onto the top of the truss, and then I'm going to put the longer bolts through the truss into the diff. That should give me best of both worlds. The upper link will be connected onto the truss, and then the truss itself will be further connected into the differential through the bolts and obviously through the welds. And so that should give me really good strength. The only reason I'm doing this, I think the Dana 44 is probably strong enough for the size tires I'm going to run. The only reason I'm doing this is because of that aluminum center section, and I don't want the extra leverage of the bigger tires stuff, you know, putting too much stress on those upper bolt holes and pulling them out. So that's the whole reason I decided to put the Iron Rock truss on there. So we'll see how it works out. Alright, so I got a minor alignment problem, so let me show you here. So you can see this truss is supposed to go on, and when I line the bolt holes up, it's not quite lining up right. So what's happening, but you see this little piece right here that's sticking out right there? I'm not exactly sure why, but I don't see any other way that this could have lined up, because all the bolt holes are lined up right. There's no other way for this thing to go on here. And this is lined up flush with that. It's in its slots and everything. So what I got going on here is I'm hitting this little lip of this little circle up on top here. You can see where it's hitting right there. So I'm thinking I can probably just grind this down a little bit off the top here, and that should be fine. Alright, so ground a little bit off there, you can see in there maybe. Now it's clearing, it's lining up really nice on the holes. It's really good, so that was perfect. Should be good to go. Alright, I got the truss partially welded up, still got to do the finish welds on it, and I was looking at how I'm going to do the mount for the upper control arm. So the way this is designed is it's got these spacers on the bottom, and that's because on the axle, which is it's designed to be mounted directly to the axle, or that's what, you know, Rough Country thinks you're going to do, because they don't know you're putting a truss on here. And so anyway, it's like that because then it clears the front of the differential. So that's why they got those spacers on there. But in my case, I'm going to be putting it on top of this truss, and so I would like it to sit flat, because I'm also going to weld it to the top of this truss. And so I think I'm just going to cut those spacers off of there and grind it smooth, and then clean up a bunch of this paint off of here so that I can weld to it and get it welded onto the top of the truss. I'm not going to do it with it sitting here on the bench. I'm actually going to put the bolts through and bolt it on the axle because that'll make sure that it's all lined up where it needs to be. And I should be able to weld everything together once it's bolted on. That's the plan. So before I weld the truss onto the axle, I need to get the vent tube out of here because it's a whole lot easier to put it on before the truss is welded onto the axle. So that's the vent tube right there. I disconnected this, I cut the clamp here. I'm just going to put a hose clamp on the end of that. And anyway, it runs up here behind the gas tank skid plate, behind all this junk over here, and then into there. That one right there. And so it's zip tied up at the top. Probably can't see it, but there's a zip tie right up at the top there. You gotta cut to get that off. Easier said than done. Alright, managed to get it out. Alright, so got those spacers off the upper control arm mount. Got it mostly smoothed out and cleaned off. I need to do a little more work there on the bottom, get some of that off. So this goes right there, the truss. Sits nice and flat now. Looks good. I need to clean a little bit off the bottom here because I'm probably gonna weld a little bit off the right there. I got the truss test fitted, the top connection for the upper control arm around there. Seems like it's going to work out. I did run into a minor issue when I first test fit the truss on here, and that's that apparently when I was welding it together, I don't know if it may have warped slightly or what happened, but what happened is you can kind of see here on the bottom of the truss, there we go, I have an extra washer right there because there was a little space and it was not sitting flat on top of that. Since I'm going to be welding this top piece, this top plate on here, most of my suspension is going to be going through the truss and through the welds. I don't think that little washer is going to make any difference. Anyway, my other option would have been to like try and trim some out of here, which I didn't really feel like doing. So I just threw a washer underneath there, and I think that'll work out just fine. And when I tighten that down, that should make it sit nice and flat on there. And then I'll go ahead and weld it all onto the axle, weld this onto the top, and that should work really well. But that's it for tonight because it's late and I'm tired.
The next day.
Alright, today we're working on the rear axle for the WJ again and try and get the truss all finished and welded onto there. I got it just sitting on there right now, but I need to weld it all up permanently. And yeah. Alright, so Iron Rock provides different sizes of bolts for this top depending on how you're going to use it. These are the original bolts. Then they have these, which are a little longer, but you see they're about the same length as the thickness of the truss, longer. And then they also provide bolts to use if you're using the rough country kit. And they also have bolts for a couple of their own kits as well. Anyway, these are the ones for the rough country kit. And as you can see, they're even longer. And so that makes up for the difference in thickness there and thickness there. But before I put those in there, I want to blow these holes out because I noticed there's dirt and little pieces of metal shavings that got in there. All right. Torque specs I found said these are supposed to be 100 foot-pounds. Since this is aluminum, I'm paranoid. I'm going to start at 80 and see how it feels. Let's go to 200. All right, looks good. All right, now I should be able to weld that on. Alright, truss is all welded up. Now we just gotta let it cool. So all I'm doing here is I'm getting the axle ready so I can put a little paint on the truss. I usually like to wipe it down with mineral spirits, which gets any grease or any other things off of it. And it also, you know, gets all the ash and gunk off from welding. Other thing I did is I pulled the spacers out because I had a 2-inch spacer lift on this previously, and I'm going to be putting 6-inch springs on, so I don't need those on there anymore. So just getting ready to throw a little paint on the truss. Alright, there we go. Nice painted truss on a dirty old axle. I didn't feel like painting the whole axle in this case, so I just cleaned off the part I needed to get the truss on, and then put paint on the truss because it was bare metal. The rest of the axle had paint on it already. You know, you just can't tell because it's covered by dirt, but it's just going to get more dirty, so that's what I figured. It'll do.